speaker of the Negating team, second speaker, sorry, Alex, to continue his next case.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we've got two main problems with the affirmative case. Number one, it won't work. And number two, that even if it does work how they propose, it won't have the results they propose. So first of all, I'd like to start off with rebutting a few of their points. I would list them here, but I kind of ran out of space in the piece of paper to write them all down. Then after my rebuttal, I'll move on to my substantive points on how their proposal is an ineffective incentive, and secondly, how it's devaluing tertiary education, and how in fact it will hurt the economy, not benefit it. Now, I'd like to start off by saying what they're proposing really is entrapment. They're getting impressionable 18-year-olds. These are people at the start of deciding their careers. These are 18-year-olds. They're not, 30-year-olds and everything. They're forcing these people to make a decision. Yeah, obviously. They're forcing these people to make a decision that will affect the next 15 years of their life. Now, they're aiming to, first of all, grab these highly skilled people. Now, these highly skilled people, aren't they going to realise that, gee, this is a long time? I might change my mind over those 15 years. Accepted.
Being highly skilled people do not agree they'll be skilled enough to see forward into 15 years. And see whether or not these...
Yeah, but the point is, these people have many options. It's not like they have to do one thing. They may start at 18 thinking they want to do medicine, but 2 years into their degree, they find, I don't like chopping people up and reaching into their insides. I find the sight of blood squeamish, and they decide to change degree.
On that point, sir.
Declined. Now, how is this going to affect their whole scheme? We haven't really seen any detail in this whole proposal, so we don't know what happens to people who change careers. We don't know how this is going to be factored into the whole situation. Now, they've come out and said, okay, because the army says we'll pay for your tertiary education and then you can come and work for us for 6 years, they're saying, okay, we can apply this to the whole of New Zealand for all degrees. Now, the point that they've missed is that this 6 years employment in the army is a guaranteed income. They're guaranteed a job in the army. But these people who have to stay for 15 years in New Zealand are not guaranteed any sort of a job. These highly skilled people could be stuck in New Zealand working in a Burger King for 15 years. Accepted.
Then how can you accept brain drain if you say there are no jobs?
Yeah, but the point is, what about how many nuclear physicists do we need in New Zealand? Okay, so you're saying that it's going to incentivise these people, but the point is, what if these people can't get jobs? You're saying, okay, there's this huge brain drain, but the fact is, these highly skilled people, as I'm saying, number one, they aren't going to be incentivised by this because they have other decline. They have other ways to get finance for these degrees. They can get scholarships, etc. And I'll be expanding on this in my substantive points.
On that point, sir.
Accepted.
So what's the causal link between a scholarship and making sure they stay in New Zealand?
Exactly the point. There's the whole causal link that why is this going to be incentive that these people can go out and get scholarships? If they can get scholarships to go overseas where there are more job opportunities, the ability to make more money, and they can do this all for free anyway, why would they decide to accept the scheme that's going to lock them in New Zealand for 15 years? These highly skilled people do not need to sign this contract. They do not need to lock themselves into this position where they're stuck here. They can go off and get this money from other sources in the government. The fact is, these people, these highly skilled people, are not going to sign this contract, as the affirmative team would have you believe. Now, they've moved on to say that if we keep these people in New Zealand by forcing them to sign this contract, which I've already said they won't, this is going to benefit New Zealand because we're going to have a ton of R&D just suddenly happening in New Zealand. They're saying that these people are just going to go out, stay in New Zealand, and cook up something in their garage. But the fact is, like, if we look at pharmaceutical companies, the way that they research these new drugs, they spend millions and billions of dollars to research new drugs. It's an effort of thousands of people and billions of dollars of money. Are they saying that by keeping these people in New Zealand, that somehow they're going to start inventing miracle drugs by themselves in their backyards, and this is going to help New Zealand? Even if they do research and develop these concepts in New Zealand, the majority of what's going to happen is they'll just sell it overseas anyway. So this really isn't going to have any effect on the New Zealand economy. They've also said that, okay, keeping these people in New Zealand, we're going to benefit from income tax. But let's look at income tax. Why would these people, these highly skilled people, stay in New Zealand with such a high income tax? It's just another factor that's forcing these people overseas. Now, they're making the huge assumption that the reason that by removing these fees will stop people going overseas to make more money, because they won't have to worry about paying back their student loan. But let's look at this logically. If people can go overseas and earn $2 million, or they can stay in New Zealand and make $500,000, and they get the benefit of having a max of $1,000 student loan paid off, what are they going to choose? There's a $1.6 million difference there. The people are going to choose that difference. The opportunity cost in many cases of staying in New Zealand is just too great for these highly skilled people they're trying to entrap. Moving on to my substantive point, how this isn't effective incentivizing. Now, my first speaker has gone over the fact that the huge number of people who are doing degrees at the moment show that the cost of these degrees is not a huge disincentive. The cost is not just stopping people going there. You know, hundreds of thousands of people are doing degrees. It's the expected thing. You go through high school, then you go on to get a degree. And in fact, this shows that it's not a disincentive for these fees. So the effect that they're proposing is not going to be an incentive. Just removing this fee isn't going to be an incentive enough to stop the people who are hell-bent on going overseas from going. So what it's going to do is just going to end up paying for the people who would stay here anyway. The people who would usually go through university and stay in New Zealand anyway are going to be the ones that benefit from this scheme. They're going to get a free tertiary education, and they're just going to end up in the same position they always would be. So pretty much, we're just paying for no added benefit. Now they've also said, okay, they've got this 15-year contract that they have to sign. Now the fact is, people are at their most productive about 15 to 20 years after they've started working. They become the most productive and give the most back to their economy. They become the most skilled, declined, after about 20 years. So what's going to happen? These people are going to work here for 15 years, get the job experience they want, and then they're just going to bugger off overseas, and you earn a whole lot of money. The fact is, it's not going to produce decline. They're not going to produce this huge benefit for the country when they're still getting the hang of the job that they're going to do. Already said that. Okay, moving on to the value of degrees. Now they're trying to say that a free degree isn't going to mean more people are going to go into courses because we're going to say you have to complete it. Well, this is kind of a bit of a fallacy. Of course people are going to go into degrees if they're free. And, you know, the majority of people will complete them. A business degree isn't that hard. The fact is that if the demand's there, the universities are businesses. They'll have that supply there. What they'll end up doing is dumbing down their courses so this increased demand can get through, complete their courses. We've seen this already happening. The huge amounts of people who will want to go through universities has already led to a decrease in standards. And the majority of these people going through here and through universities at the moment in the specialised trades don't even end up working in their trades. What have I said today? I've covered many of their points on. I've covered the points on why their proposal is ineffective. I've gone over how their assumption that this whole proposal would fit the whole of New Zealand because it's worked in the army is flawed. Their assumption that there won't be an influx, and I've highlighted how their whole proposal is ineffective because it does not provide a great enough incentive to keep these highly skilled people, the people they are targeting in New Zealand, and how by implementing this we'll be devaluating the tertiary education because everybody will have a degree. It'll devalue New Zealand degrees because all applicants will look, all businesses from overseas will look at New Zealand and say, oh, everybody's got a degree there, it must be easy, we won't employ New Zealanders. And how in fact it will hurt economy because it will be forcing people into universities out from trades such as plumbing and building where we have a huge shortage, and at the moment there is the current huge drive by the government to try and get people into these trades. And for that reason the moot must fall.